So keyboard focus mode. Keyboard focus mode has 3 sections. You have this one over here in the edit window. And I've got one over here in my groups window here on the left. And then on the right in the clips list window. And basically keyboard focus mode is just shortcuts for that window. The 2 main ones that I have used in the past are the edit window and the groups window. I actually don't really use the edit window one very much anymore. And I never really used it that much. I've used it a little bit, but not that much. And I've got some shortcuts for you here. Whoops. In your key commands, copy, paste, cut, undo, trim, start, trim, end, fade in, fade out, crossfade, separate, clip, zoom in, zoom out. These are just a few of the shortcuts. There's a lot more shortcuts, and if you want to know the shortcuts, like we talked about before, get yourself one of those keyboard overlays that has the keyboard thing on it, or you can go here to the help, and in here, Pro Tools shortcuts. Pulls up this horrible window that they think is cool. Not a fan. But this goes ahead and has everything in it. And I always actually just say this, you can download it here as a PDF file. And I just keep those PDFs. I've got a bunch of them in my downloads folder right now. I've got a bunch of PDFs. Oh, what's new, README. Oh, I guess I didn't save the downloads folder. But I think in Canvas, if I'm not mistaken, let's see. Oh, the handouts is here. Well, for a while. I'll put it in here so you have it. Because here, I'll go ahead and stick it in here. It's a good thing to have access to it. It used to be in there, but the Pro Tools shortcuts is a good one to have to make sure you download it. But there it is. And it has all the shortcuts for stuff. And then this, like I said, these are just a few of them. So 3 places. Here's all the screenshots of where those 3 places are. There it is, there it is, there it is. Okay. It can only be turned on at one place at a time, and it enables one key shortcuts for that window. I recommend how I've used them in the past, because I use the shortcuts. I use the command key shortcuts for all these in here. I use my keyboard shortcuts for my groups over here, my focus mode, my keyboard focus mode. So I keep it turned on down here in the lower left-hand corner over here. And let's go ahead and just take a look at this real quick, how I would set this up. So I've got everything color-coded here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to group these together. So here's my drums. Let me just rename that. Okay, so here's my drums. And I'm not going to group the aux channel in here. So I just have this. I hit Command G to group the drums. And in here, we've already talked about this in another lesson, but I'm just going to call this one drums. And my ID number, I'm going to go over here and go to D for drums to make it the same letter. And this is why right now. I think I mentioned this like yesterday or 2 days ago. But we're going to make sure it says drums here. And then here, my bass here section. So I'm going to hit Command G on this. I'm going to call it bass and give this the ID of a B for bass. Right? And you're going to start to see the pattern here. You're going to be like, oh, wait, I get what Tony's doing. Here's my guitar group. And we're going to call this one guitars. And I'm going to give it an ID number of G for guitars. Okay? And then here's my synth section, synth and strings. Command G to go ahead and do it. I'm going to call this one synths, strings. And I'm going to give it an ID number of What do you think? S for sense and strings. And then over here, I've got these effects, Command G again, effects, and again, keyboard shortcut of E for effects. And then, this one, I didn't put this one in here. I should put that one in. I'll put that one in a second. And then over here is my vocals. And the vocals are going to have the keyboard shortcut as well. Vocals. And again, it's a keyboard shortcut of a V for vocals. How about that? It's funny how that works out. Okay, so my instrument group, let's put that over here next to my vocal group. Boom. Cool. This one here, okay, so this one here didn't ever get put into a group. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click, not right-click, I'm going to click on where it says effects next to it. I'm going to click on this and go to modify, because this is where your group, this is where you can see where the groups are. I'm going to go to modify, and I'm going to insert that effect, this return here. There we go. Add it. Whoops. Boom, there we go. Okay, so now we got that there. So now what this means is if I grab one and I move it around, it's going to move all of them from that group, right? That's how that works, which is okay. I mean, that's not my main reason for using it like this. I usually do that with just this here, but it does its job. But over here, if I want to turn these groups on and off with my keyboard focus mode turned on, all I have to do is hit the first letter of each name here, whatever group number it is. So my D for drums, my basses, my guitars, my effects, my synths, my vocals, I can turn these on and off. So as I'm going, and I'm like, oh, I want to turn my drums down just a little bit, all these drums here, I can just turn my drums down real quick and I can just adjust the level here. If I go into my edit window here, and I'm like, you know what, I want to edit all my vocals at the same time, I can go here and turn my vocals on and edit all my vocals at the same time. And it makes working with this much easier, but if I want to turn it off, I just hit V again, and now I just turned it off, so it's only working with one track at a time. I usually keep my groups off. Come on, keyboard. I usually keep my groups off. But when I need to, I have them here, and I set them up in the beginning. Okay, so that's how you would use. That's how I use the keyboard shortcuts. The focus mode is mostly in my groups. Now, if I'm over here and you want to use some stuff like this, I can use the keyboard focus mode for these, and we can see here there's some cool ones for this too. For example, the trim and the crossfade, all that stuff. So trim, start, trim, end. So for example, if I want to trim the end of this, I just hit S. If I want to trim the start, I hit A. If I want to fade, what is that, D and F for my crossfade. So if I want to fade out to the end, I just do that. Or I highlight it and do that. And I can highlight this and do this. They changed it? They may have changed it actually. Oh no, they haven't. But you have to, oh, it's G. Oh yeah, it says G. Oh yeah, and F is crossfade. Okay, cool. And I mean, you can see I don't actually use these that much like this. And then B is for cutting this here. Okay. So if it's the type of thing where if you use this, when you're using like I've seen people who are just use Pro Tools all the time, and they're sitting there, and it looks like they're just typing on a keyboard the way they're editing stuff. And so, I mean, it's pretty amazing. If you're doing a lot of editing, it's good to use this here. If you're doing more mixing stuff rather than editing stuff, then it's probably better to use your keyboard focus mode on your groups. If you're doing more editing than mixing, then probably use your keyboard focus over here. I don't know if Johnny, if you're still in here right now, but I'd be interested to know once we get over to the Zoom chat, how do you use Pro Tools with your stuff? Because you're Pro Tools certified. And also I'd be interested to hear from Nick as well. So I think with that, actually, just keep that in mind when we come back from the break, but I think it's a good place to stop here. Yeah.